But we talk a lot about the intersection between business and design. What we want to do is help people all over the world.
That's what I'd love for you to talk today about to my audience, because I'm a firm believer in this too, in designers being paid what they're worth, being paid on time. What's the main issue with designers not being paid what they're worth?
I think the main thing, it starts at the very beginning. It's a lot to do with mindset and how they view themselves, to have the self-confidence and to have a couple of the communication tools to ask for what they're. We don't want to talk about terms. So what we do is we constantly punt. We're always punting the conversation down the line until it gets into the proposal. Sometimes it's not included in the proposal. And then it becomes like, okay, so the 17th revision now, like what am I going to say to the client? That slippery slope that you go down and dealing with all the changes without asking for a change order, a change in scope of work document, those definitely not a way to sustain a life. The other thing that creatives struggle with is guilt. It's something that we enjoy doing, making things, whether you're an illustrator, graphic designer, you build websites, you enjoy doing this, so it feels like it's wrong to charge people money, right?
Especially when you just think to be charging people for it. I remember feeling grateful when someone paid me for my first design job. You know, I was like, wow, you're paying me to do something that I would have happily done for free, to be honest.
Okay,
you know?
So how have you gotten over that?
I think just as I kind of want to earn money from my career.
Yeah?
And I want it to be my living.
Okay. You want to be a professional.
Yeah.
You guys know what a professional is, right? When your main source of income comes from the thing that you do. So if you're waiting tables and you act on the side, you're a waiter. When you're acting full-time and you wait part-time, then you're an actor. So this is how we have to deal with this.
And that's kind of that mindset thing you're talking about, right? I like it. If someone is working in design, they've got some clients and they're wanting to like raise their rates, I think a lot of the time designers feel like if they've already started out at this level, it's really hard to like increase their rates and make people pay them more for essentially the same work, even though, I mean, they've been improving their skills, so it's not really the same. How do you advise people get over that and like start charging more?
How do you change your rates? It's a very common question, and if you start out somewhere, it seems like it's. So if too many people say yes, you're charging not enough. So my rule of thumb is to double your rates and negotiate down. So anywhere between the 2x rate and where you started off is a good place. And yourself every single time.
Yeah.
That's cool. The other way to do this is next time the client calls you and says, hey, we got this work, and then you say, that's great, appreciate it. I need to let you know, since working with you last time, I've changed my rates, and I feel like the work is...
Starting high and then negotiating down is, am I then giving in to the client? And am I then saying, well, I think I'm worth this much, but, oh, okay, you don't think I am.
That's right.
Okay.
First of all, when you ask for double, sometimes they just say yes. Then you realize you're still charging too little. High. So those are two terms you need to know. Price bracketing gives people a range, and you're allowed to explore with them, like based on their reaction, where you need to net out. And I want to anchor high because I want them to not negotiate down from the lowest point, but negotiate down from the highest point. So get this, if you charge $1,000 to do a logo, great, good for you. You charge $2,000, and when you work it out and there's a negotiation process, and let's say you get $1,600, I don't think that's a loss. I think that's $600 more than you used to get, and that's not a problem at all. This is just business.
Another thing on pricing is that, I know that you believe this too, is that you don't price based on the hour, but based on the value, right?
That's right.
People always ask, what's your hourly rate? What should I charge? And I'm like, well, I can't really answer that because I charge based on the project. I like evaluate with the client what the value is they're gonna get. That's a really hard thing to get into though, and I've not had much luck with trying to explain it to people. So is there any advice you can give?
Yes, I will try it. Well, let's see what happens here. Okay, if you're really interested in changing rates and getting the value of your work, is you charge based on time and materials. It's an estimate, so if you wind up working more or less, you charge accordingly. So if the client runs the project long, you get to charge more. The problem with this faster, better, I do it for less money.
Which makes no sense.
Which makes no sense. So the client already knows this, so they're thinking, how do I protect myself from it going even higher? So you put the risk on the client. Pricing model number 2 is based on a fixed fee. So like, you know what? I don't want this to be kind of a never-ending scope. I want to lock this thing down. So I want you to give me one flat fee in which I will pay you. And now you take the risk. So if you run it better, faster, now you are incentivized to finish the job quicker, you'll make more money. The only problem is if it goes longer, then you will lose money. So what happens is you have to estimate on the higher end. And both parties understand that. So if they got a lower rate, and they're willing to deal with expanding scope, no problem. So the benefit to them is a fixed fee, but then you have to price a little bit higher.
Right.
That's how most people price projects, based on that. Yep. The third, price the client and not the job. This goes counter to a lot of ways designers, in some degree, to charge different clients different rates for the same work. What you don't realize is the clients see different amounts of value to the work itself.
Yeah.
Okay, so a problem that you haven't been able to solve. It doesn't matter what kind of problem, okay? And let's say I'm selling X. Each and every single one of you guys is going to have a different price tag because you're solving different kinds of problems. So if you need a logo, some of you guys might price on the lower end. Let's say you need to do marketing and sales, and that's gonna be worth a lot more to you. That's the difference. I'm pricing it based on how you see it versus how I see it. This gets us away from charging for time and materials. And there's a lot of different things that you need to be able to do in order to charge for this. The first thing is you need to be in front of decision makers. You have to speak to the founder, the CEO, the CMO, somebody in the C-suite executive suite. And in order to speak to them, you can't be having these conversations about colors, textures, or feelings and moods. You really have to get it.
What are some questions that someone could ask to start getting into this? Like to start figuring this out and getting that information from the client?
Yep.
Because you do need to kind of pull it out of them.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
So the first thing that's going to happen is the clients are going to come at you and they're going to start prescribing things. I need this done by this time. I need this kind of logo. It needs to happen like this, this, and this. So they're prescribing to you, kind of giving you orders, so to speak, while you sit there and happily and dutifully write those notes down and then you do the work. You have to change that relationship because the instant somebody orders you to do stuff, you've negated all the potential value that you bring to the table. So you can't let the client come in and dictate how to solve the problem. Not only have they diagnosed the problem, they're also prescribing the solution. So when they come in and they say, I need this and this done, they say, this is fantastic, thank you for calling me. I'm curious, what's motivating this call today? You make them stop and think and retrace their steps as to what the original problem was.
Yeah.
So usually this is, they got an awareness problem, meaning they need to get the word out on something. It could be a conversion problem. Their website's not performing. They're not getting enough clicks. They're not getting enough click through, or they're getting too high of a bounce rate. So you can solve that kind of problem. So what I would try to do is retrace it back to what the original motivation is and why they called you in the first place. From there, you want to stay in the diagnostic phase as long as possible to ascertain how much value is created for the company. And even more powerfully, what do they have to lose? If this goes horribly wrong, how will this impact their business in an adverse way? When you start to have those two conversations, you'll start to realize with the client what they were prepared to spend $2,000 on is disproportionate to the value gain, and does it sound reasonable that you would spend 10% to achieve this goal? That's how you enter into value conversation.
I think that's also kind of your duty as a designer to get to that root of the problem and be the one prescribing the solution. I don't think you're doing your job as a designer if you just do. If you're watching this and you feel like, I want more, where can they go to find more?
Go to youtube.com/thefutureishere. The future is spelled without an E because, you know, we're cool like that. We got the E.
Yeah. There we go. We're going to film a video over on Chris's channel as well, so go and check that out. It'll be linked on the card, in the description and all that. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.
Smash that like button. Hit the nose is running now.
Would you like a tissue? I have one in my bag.
Thank you, please.
Yeah.
Or I'll just use the human tissue, which is known as my hand. Okay.